All right then, so before jumping into creating the company details, so let's go ahead and fix this data table, so where we can display the list of jobs which we already created, right? So I'm gonna close this everything except this page one, so close all. Okay. Okay, so now the jobs which is going to be listed out in the, this is for job ID and this is the jobs, right? This is the place where we have to display the data table. So in order to bring the data table, let's open up the browser and search for chat C in UI and search for this data table. You should be able to find out this one. So when it comes to data table, it's using this TanStack table. Okay, this is the external package that Shatcn is using for creating all these kinds of functionalities in it. Okay, all you have to do is to first add the table, then you need to add this particular package. So let's go ahead and click this, and in the new terminal I'm going to say npm install this one. Then I'm going to copy this npm and I'm going to paste it over here, push it, this one. All right, so here we go. So now we have both of the packages and all those things. So this is the prerequisites. This is how you need to supply the data and all those things. You need to have the type for that. Then you need to create the project structure, something like this. Okay, so column data table. In this case, data table file which we are going to create, which is going to be the universal file. So we have to create it in the global UI folder, and we need to map the columns. So what are the column types? So based on the data what we do have, we need to supply the column types over here. Then this is the data table code. You just need to copy and paste it, that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the data table first. So here you can see the steps to create the data table component. So copy this. Okay, so in the global UI I'm going to create a new file. So it should be like this. In this, inside the components you have the UI folder. In that you need to create the new file called data table.tsx. Okay, then all you have to do is to paste that code, finish. Then all you have to do is to now create the column. Okay, so look at the file structure over here, app. So here they are using the payment. So inside the payment route they created the column data table page.tsx and everything. Since we are going to use the data table as the reusable component, so we kept it in the global components folder. Now we have to create this column.tsx. So let's go ahead and create that columns.tsx. So inside the dashboard, routes, admin, jobs, and this is the place, right? So over here in the jobs, now what we have to do is we have to create a new folder over here. Right click, new folder, underscore components, and inside these components I'm gonna say columns.tsx. Okay, so what we are going to do is literally I'm just going to copy this columns code, copy this column code, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm just going to delete this I'm going to delete all these things unnecessary. So instead of payment I'm going to change this to jobs columns, something like that, jobs column. So now what you have to do is to, instead of this id, amount and all those things, we have to bring some necessary things. What are the things that we need to display over here? We need to bring the title, whether the job is published or not, what kind of category, what is the company, and the date, right? So simply type these, type over here, id, title, company, category created at. Okay, so please make sure that is exactly matching your schema, whatever you created. So it is supposed to be created, not created, something like this. And please make sure every single field over here which matches exactly the same thing, because we don't want to confuse ourselves by the time when we are mapping those data column from the database and the column from the data table. So we don't want any name conflicts. So that's the reason we are creating everything as the same name, right? So, and then what we have to do is we have to display all these informations. Fine. Okay, so now let's customize all these things. So what you need to do is, first what the thing we need to display, we need to display the title. So copy the title, instead of accessory key status we're going to supply the title, and type your header name. So header is going to be the title. Then next what we need to do, we need to have the company here. I need to bring the company. Then what we have, we need to bring the created at. So bring the created at. Then here I'm just going to supply it as a date. So right after this title, what we need to have, we need to bring the whether it is published or not. So copy this publish and supply it over here, and this should be published, and paste it one more time, copy and paste it one more time. Then what we need to bring the category. So copy the category, paste it over here, and change this to category. So title is there, publish is there, category is there, company is there, and the job when it's been created, everything is been there. So let's save these changes. All right, so far let's try to bring the details and display it over there. Then later I'll show you how to add this sorting options and search options and everything. Okay, so in order to do that, what we need to do is, let's get back to the, so columns is there, we don't need this, and let's get back to the page.tsx. Yep, this is the one. Let's bring it over here. All right, so right after that, the place where we are have to display the job data table. Okay, so let me add that over here. So div class name, margin top, it's going to be 6. Okay, so here now I'm going to bring the data table. So for this data table, make sure the data table is coming from add components UI data table. What are the things that we need to do? Supply the columns. Basically that columns is coming from ./components from the exact same folder itself. See, from this particular folder over here. Perfect. Now we need to supply the data. Since we don't have the data, let's supply an empty array. Then save these changes, and now let's look at over here. You can see we having the title and the header name, everything which we created, it's loaded up perfectly over here. Now what we need to do is we need to bring the data, right? So in order to bring the data, all we have to do is to fetch the data from the database. So first I need to get the user, whether the user is authenticated or not. So const is equals to auth. So make sure that is being coming from clerk, and inside here I'm gonna say user ID. So if I don't have the user ID, then all I have to do is to return the user redirect by using the next slash navigation, importing from that package, then redirect the user to slash admin slash jobs. Okay, so if there is no like what to say, if there is no particular user ID, if there is no user ID, so we need to push the user to the entire home screen. So if that will push the user to the sign in screens. Perfect. So then right after here, now I need to fetch the jobs. So const jobs is equals to await, get the database instance from our library file, use the job, then find many. So I'm going to use this find many method, open the object, and here I need to supply the where condition, where we need to supply the user ID. So that you need to fetch the jobs listed out only by this particular user. Okay, so and what are the things that we need to include along with this? I need to include the category, and I need to include the company. Since we don't have the company, if you look at it in the schema, we don't have that company, so don't worry about that. Later we can update it. So here I just need to include the category. I need to include the category, and the category needs to be true. Fine. And I need to order it. So order by created at in a descending order. Save these changes. Now let's check it out whether we having the jobs or not. Console.log jobs. Save the changes, and if you check it out over here, you can see we are getting the details, all the jobs which we created over here, right? So now we are getting the detail, so we know that we are getting this, and all I have to do is to supply it over here, jobs. Save these changes. Okay, so but we are not getting the company and the categories. There is some information. We know that the data is being passed, but still we are getting some unwanted errors over here. So these things we need to, what we need to do is we need to map this data, because if you check the schema, we're having a bunch of informations, but if you check the column, we have very few type. So we need to map it properly. So in order to map that properly, I'm going to create const formatted jobs colon. I'm going to get that column from where jobs column from that columns.tsx, and it should be an array because we are trying to map every single record, equals to jobs dot map, open it, and we are going to get the job one by one, and I'm going to get the value object and create an object inside in it, enter. First I'm going to map the id, it's going to be job.id. Then I'm going to map the title, which is going to be the job.title. We know that title, of course the title, it's going to be there, but when it comes to company job.company, we don't have that company. So if in that case, what I'm going to do for the time being, I'm just going to keep it as an empty string. The reason is because we are not haven't included the company, because even in the schema itself we haven't created any relationship between the that job and company. So far we haven't even created the company itself, so leave that part so far right now empty. Let's keep it as an empty. Then what I'm going to do is, right after that, I'm going to get the category details. Basically the category is coming from different model objects. So job.category, if you do have the job.category, then display the job.category, or else job.category.name, or else leave it as an empty string. Okay. Or if you simply want to like, let's display something like this, not available, instead of empty string, you can simply display it as not available or something. Then right after that, for is published, I'm gonna say job.is published. Then created at, it's going to be, so you can see that it's displaying a very large name. So instead of that, what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna format this one by using the date fns. So if you search for date fns, so that's the npm which we are going to using to, in order to format the dates. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that, import, install that one. So let's say npm install date -fns, hit the enter. Okay, I think that's installed, and let's go ahead and top and import that package, import from date fns, import the format, supply it. And here what I'm going to do is, so right after that we need to check whether we're having that job.created at or not, job.created at. If it says so, then format job.created at dot to local date string, converted to local date string. Then we need to supply the format. I need to display the months, then I need to display the date of that specific year in this specific format. If it doesn't have that, simply keep it as not available or something, not applicable or not available, whatever it is. All right, then save these changes, and here instead of this jobs, you need to supply the formatted jobs. Save it. Now you should not get that type error, because every single column values are being mapped properly with that specific type. Now you should be able to see the data over here. See, for this particular job, we created the cloud computing category. Everything has been mapped, and you can see the date when it's been created and everything. All right, so title, everything has been added, and still everything is not been published. But if you look at it over here, published and everything, it's looking quite different. So we need to customize every single of them. Now what I need to do is, I need to bring the action button. We need to bring this action button where the user can able to navigate to that specific page, to that specific id, right? So in order to do that, let's get back into the columns. So let's keep the title as it is, right? So let's keep the title as it is. We are not going to do anything literally in it. Then the published, it's going to look quite different. So what I'm going to do is, this is the one. So right after here, what I'm going to do is, I'm just, instead of this, oops, this is supposed to be published itself, right? So right after here, I'm going to create the cell object, use the cell instance, cell property. I'm going to render a different one. So create a callback function, and inside that it's going to taking the object as a parameter, and that is going to give you the row property, and enter. So I'm going to get const row.original, which means it's going to give you the complete row information, which we having title, published, everything. So in that thing I need only the published one is published, right? So once you got that, I'm going to return a div, okay, class name, and I'm going to bring the scene from the library utils, which is going to help you to render the conditional styles over here. So I'm going to supply the basic styles, which is going to have the border px, of course it's going to be 2, py it's going to be 1, and text is going to be xs, which means extremely small. Rounded it's going to be medium, and width of course it's going to be 24. Text of course it's going to be center. These are the common styles. So let me enable the word wrap so we can see it clearly. Okay, so right after here, then comma, if it is published, then what I need to do, I need to display the border emerald 500 color 500. Then I'm going to say bg emerald 500, right? If it is not, then I need to say border red 500, then bg red 100/80, something like this. And let's do the same thing for here, 100/80% of that color, something like that. So now you should be able to see we having the that border effects and everything inside this division. Now what we need to do, I need to display the text, right? So if it is published, then I need to display the text as published. Oops, this should be a ternary operator. Then if it is not, then it should be say as unpublished, something like this. Now you should be able to see that over here. Okay, so published and unpublished. All right, so the font is not perfectly fitting in it. So what we can do is so this is supposed to be width 24, not 2/4. Okay, so now we are getting an error suddenly. Why? Yep, here we go. So now we are properly having that answer over here. Perfect. Okay, so company details, we don't have that. Then right after that, what we need to do is at the end, at the last over here, this is the place where we need to bring the actions and everything. So in order to bring something like this, like a drop down, you need to install this drop down option, search for drop down menu. So then we have to install this one, right? So copy this command and install this one for install it, let it install. Okay, so it is going to be installed. Then right after here, I'm going to create one more object, which is going to be id as in name as the actions. It should be an id only, so it should not be anything else. Then cell, I'm going to create a callback function, which is going to take the object at the prop of row, enter. Then I'm going to get the const, I need to get the id in order to navigate it to the different users, the different page. From the row.original, we are going to access the id, right? Then we are going to return, enter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally copy this and I'm going to import it straight away over here. Okay, and I'm going to copy this one, then I'm going to paste it over here. So save these changes. If everything is working perfectly fine, then you should be able to see this open, and if you click this, you should be able to see this drop down menu over there. So we need to customize this, so let's go ahead and start customizing that. So drop down menu, it should be as child only, it should not be anything else. Then instead of this open, so instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it, and here I'm going to bring a button. Okay, and inside this button, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring an horizontal icon, so more horizontal icon from the Lucid React, so which is going to be having the class name as h4 and width 4. Save these changes. Now you should be able to see this icon over here, right? So if I click this, I should be able to see that. But now what I'm going to do is for this button, I'm going to change class name. So which is going to be oops, not class name, which is going to be an icon. So variant, of course, it is going to be the ghost variant because we don't need that background color and everything. It should looks like that. Then the size of this, it's going to be the icon size. Perfect. Now this is how it should looks. Perfect. And now inside this drop down menu content, okay, the drop down content, literally we don't need any of this. Delete that. Now here what we need to have the link from the next link, because this is the place where we are pushing the user to that specific ID. And here what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the drop down menu item. Inside this drop down menu item, I'm going to bring this pencil icon, and which is going to have the class name as width as 4, then height as 4, and margin right, of course it is going to be 2. Then right after here I'm going to say edit, and whenever you click that, it's need to navigate the user to where you bring the dynamic string literals /admin/jobs/ that particular ID which we got from here. Save it. So now if I wish to edit this, all I have to do, click here, and if I click this, that is going to take you to that particular job details page. And if I click this, you will be get back, and you can able to edit any single of the job details from here, where I can customize it and edit it later part. Okay, so just like the same way, all I have to do is to bring one more thing, which is going to be the applicants. So whoever applied for this particular jobs, you can see that's the place where you can able to see the applicants. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring that details. Okay, so jobs. Okay, so this is the place where we need to bring all those applicants details and everything. So let's go ahead and copy this, copy and paste it one more time inside that same place itself. And this time it's going to be job ID. After this, I'm gonna have that applicants also, applicants. That's the route name. So far we don't have that, so don't worry about that. Here I'm gonna bring the icon, and here I'm gonna bring the applicants. All right, so now you should be able to see that, but if you click it right now, it's going to cause you an error, so don't worry about that. So now we successfully finished the data table, and all we have to do is to go ahead and create the schema for the company and start editing the company details. So let's go ahead and do that now.